Welcome to Middle School Speaks. I'm Michael Sarah. I'm the host for today's episode, which is episode 1423. My co-host here.
Hello, my name is Cash, and in today's episode, we will be reviewing whether or not violent video games should be age-restricted for children under the age of 16. Now, to Michael's point.
I think that violent video games should be banned for any child under the age of 16 because it could be detrimental to their mental health, and it could really mess them up for either years or their entire lifetime. It can cause aggression, even though it can be stress relieving for child, but there are other children that could take this seriously and put it into action in real life.
That is a great point. I am choosing to argue that there should not be an age restriction because whenever I play video games, I feel joy and it helps me deal with less stress so that it relieves stress off of me if I have schoolwork to do or if I have a project or an exam. It makes me feel less stressed about it and makes me more happy.
That's a great point. So there are people out there that think violent video games are completely fine for mental health issues and could actually relieve stress. But there are also cases where people have investigated shooters' houses and they found that in their consoles that they've played more violent video games than actual normal peaceful video games. And that could have either been the main reason of why they did what they did, or it could have been some kind of side effect.
That was amazingly put by you, Michael. There's one little thing about that, though. It could also be something school-related, not just video game-related. It could be something in school or outside of school other than video games.
You have a amazing point there, but while you were speaking, I had a revelation. So I've found out that throughout this conversation, we've had different putting offs on normal video games and violent video games. Video games themselves have been around for not that long. The first one coming out, Tennis for Two, 1980, 1990, around that time for the Atari. But the first violent video game that came around the 1990s, 2000s, being Death Rider. You play as the Grim Reaper. So that is a very particular statement. But there's also times where a child has been exposed to a violent video game, not just a normal video game, a video game that's either rated M, rated Teen 16 plus, any of those kind of games. They've probably been exposed to that once in their lifetime at their kind of age of 6 to 10. And that's the kind of time where they still are copying other kind of stuff. So if they see something that, let's per se, like Mortal Kombat or something like that, they could use that kind of things in real life and it could change other people's perspectives on them. And what if they played a game about one of the world wars, World War I, World War II, any of the Gulf Wars? What if they played a game like that? How would that change other people's perspective on each other?
That was exemplary, what you just said there. That was quite endurable. There are some things that can happen from violent video games, but also they do help people as well. If they cause behavioral issues or mental issues, they also could help with some of those. not just violent video games in general, but like any video games, they could teach you things like related to the real world sometimes. It depends what kind of video games you're playing, but in this case, it's violent video games. And when we're talking about this, I've noticed that you like to relate it to like kids doing things at their schools. What if it's people doing stuff at their school that's hurting them and not the violent video games? It could just be it could be multiple other things. It doesn't have to be violent video games. But
Yeah, I see
they
what you're
could
saying.
be a resulting cause for behavioral issues or
Yeah.
mental issues or stuff like that. Also, there is sorry. There are many issues with people that don't play violent video games also.
Yeah, I get what you're meaning. I'm not saying that all reasons for school shootings are violent video games, and exactly what you meant. Kids can learn things from video games to real life, so that could mean a violent video game. So let's like kids back in the day, like 1950s, 1940s, they played games that were not so particularly okay with each other. That doesn't mean it was learned from what they read or what they did. It's what they saw from other people. So if they see things other people are doing, there's a very high likely that they're going to do it to other people in that sense.
That was interesting. However,
You guys have about a minute left because I have another group that's been assigned to use the space.
Okay. Just cut that part out. Just cut that part out. We can just cut that part out.
that was great. However, in the many years since the first video game came out and violent video game, we have evolved, and there is now in-game chatting and in-game voice chatting. So if you are playing a violent video game or just any video game, there could be banter between you and someone else that's also playing the game that could cause something like that.
Yes, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. Not exactly what I'm talking about, but that could be another lead effect for what we're talking about. If you, let's say a kid was playing, like a 6, 7-year-old was playing Call of Duty, their parents don't know, and somebody says something completely inappropriate to them or something completely detrimental to their health. Like, let's say they were, like, Indian or something like that. They could, like, say something completely racist to them, or like that could really hurt them. It doesn't even depend if it's a violent video game or not. Any of this stuff could happen. But it's mostly found in games where you either are playing like a war style game or a game where you're fighting somebody, and that kind of falls into the violent video game area. So it doesn't matter if you don't play violent video games or if you do at the same time. There's still going to be a time where you find yourself playing one, and anybody could really mess you up at any time.
That is very true. That could happen. But with children like 6 or 7 that you were saying, they could also not have the correct equipment when they're playing the video games. Like, because most children that age do not have the proper microphone or headphones to talk to people in the game. But other than that, that basically sums it up.
Also, for an example of a real life issue that one of my family members is having, legit, I'm not talking like nonsense right now. One of my brother, he has experience with video games. He's been playing it for about a year now. 4 years old. He plays games like Roblox, Minecraft, those kind of games. But I have caught him one time playing a violent video game, and it's from the last time that I've known him, he's really been different. I know it could have been some kind of behavioral issue with how he's aging, but I've gone into more research and I figured out that the kind of games that he's playing are making him become more angry to other people, and it's a big problem with him right now. I know it could have been just some kind of age, him getting older, he's having more emotional issues, but also it could be the type of video games that he's playing, and this could change his entire personality. And if I don't see any changes in the next couple of years, it could be this exact problem.
Yes. As you also said, it could be him just aging and learning new things, or he could be learning them from other children or adults around him in his life, or friends that could be teaching him these things. It's not always video game related, but in this case, we're talking about the video games.
I am
that are
saying it's a
relating to
video
it.
game, but I'm saying like there's a big chance that this could be a video game problem.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah. I see what you mean.
that basically
All right.
sums it
Yeah,
up.
that sums it up.